Okay guys, today we're going to be building a little sandblast booth for a little pot blaster that I have, so I can do a go-kart frame that won't fit into mine or my blaster's sandblast cabinet. And I'm just going to set up a time lapse as I do it. So yeah, enjoy it. Okay guys, my phone ended up dying, so I didn't get a full time lapse of it. But basically, I got a sheet of OBS on the bottom, some supports on the back, the two sides, and I needed a little bit of extra piece here to fit. And then I had this old piece of tin roofing, and I just cut it in half so that it would work. This is all gonna just come off. This is just for when I'm not using it, so that water's not getting inside of it. Now, the reason I had to build this is because I'm starting to do some of these go-kart frames, and they would not fit in my blaster or my sand blaster. I have a gentleman who helps me out. They also wouldn't fit in his blaster either. So now I have like a little pot blaster, which I can show you guys in a second, but it should do a really good job at blasting this. And then as far as the roof goes, I sealed all the screw holes as well as the middle support or the middle joint. And then just put some supports in between all of them. I mean, it's not the craziest thing. It's real simple, temporary. Those are just a support so that the plywood can't pull through. Same with the back. I have it bolted through the metal on this piece and another support on the bottom. And then this side's the same thing. And I just had a bunch of scrap wood, so I just utilized what I had. And I mean, the OBS I had to buy, but the majority of the other stuff I already had, like these, they're almost like a 1 by 1.5. So yeah, it should work really good, and I'll show you guys the blaster. Okay guys, this is the blaster. It's nothing crazy. It's just a pot blaster. You put your media in the top, you loosen the valve so that you let air in, you pull that little plunger up in there, and then it starts to fill up. And this thing actually works pretty damn well. I tested it on one of these small pieces, just a little corner of it, and it stripped it really quick. So I'm super excited to be able to use this. I just needed to have a cabinet so I could reclaim it and not just get it all over the ground, of course. And these are a couple of the other small pieces I have to do for the go-kart as well with that frame. So okay guys, I tested this out, my homemade blasting box, and with my current respirator I had, it wasn't sufficient. I could still smell and taste it. I'm sorry for the wind noise if you guys can hear it. It's like 30-mile-an-hour gusts today. But either way, I ordered a nice sandblasting helmet, and it's going to help with giving me air feed and positive pressure into my helmet, so I won't be breathing in all that dust. As well as, this is a screen for stripping, powder coat and such. This would be what you use in your dip tanks to get rid of the excess, you know, powder and coatings that rise to the surface. This was the net that the gentleman used to clean it off. I'm waiting for my stainless steel screen to come, but I was able to use this in order to siphon some of the practice media I used and clean it so that it wasn't full of debris, because it's been sitting out here for a little bit, and it was underneath this tree and a bunch of like pine needles fell in it. But that worked good to siphon or to screen it out, so I can reuse that media. I'm gonna do a screen one more time when I dump it out into the box. But yeah, so hopefully today I'll be able to do this go-kart. It's a dirt cart frame along with the bumper and a couple other small pieces. And I got a new gun for my sandblasting unit too that I've been waiting on so that it strips really well. It was like a $50 gun, so hopefully it does a good job, and at least it will be better than the one that we had on it right now. And there's the roof that I use for to cover the blaster. I just took it off. Better light in here, and also allows for better airflow while I'm blasting. Okay guys, so this is what the little blast helmet looks like. It has air feed in the back, which I will unscrew this, and I'm going to use a shop vac here. I just cleaned it all out. I have an inner filter to help with dust, as well as a HEPA filter that goes all the way down to 1 micron. And I'm also going to put a respirator filter in line with my shop vac hose as extra precaution. But the shop vac will just be in an area away from the dust, feeding me with a long vacuum hose, so that I'm going to get fresh air blowing into my suit with positive pressure. I thought about using an air compressor, but you have to get a pretty expensive air filtration system because of all the chemicals and smells and stuff that are in air compressors that they cause. Even an oilless one still is pretty smelly. So we're just using an electric motor with basically a fan to just blow fresh air into my suit so that I get positive pressure and it will keep the dust out. As well as underneath this suit, I'll be wearing a Tyvek suit, and I'm going to see if I can wear a regular small dust mask underneath inside of here, just as extra precaution, just because I don't want to breathe any junk in, and I care about my health quite a bit, so I'm trying to do everything the best that I can on my budget. And as far as the vacuum, I'm just using a typical Harbor Freight with the dust filter inside, like that white filter you saw, to help with any dust so that it just doesn't get on my HEPA filter, and hopefully can keep it cleaner. And also, just in case anyone is interested in the helmet I got, it was around 150 bucks, and it came with 5 extra outer screens, and then I ordered 5 extra inner screens. However, the inner screens you have to cut to fit, which is kind of stupid, where the one that's in here, those ones are too big, so you have to cut them down to the inner one that's inside of here. I'll try to take it off real quick. And as you can see, there's a little bit of damage on this from whoever put it in at the factory, whether it wasn't cut 100% correctly and they tried to jam it in there or what. I don't think it's going to cause a seal issue, but I reached out to the seller, and the seller was Bob Tools, is the name on Amazon. Great company to work with, or a great seller to work with. He's going to send me out a replacement inner screen because they have to custom order them, or else you have to cut them. And I want it to be right out the box. I'm not going to spend my own money to replace an inner screen when it was like that brand new. So it must have been at the factory, because this outer screen had no damage. There's no damage on the box. I'm not sure if someone's finger poked it. It kind of looks like just the screen was cut incorrectly. The screen is a little too long in that spot over in the corner. But overall, I'm very happy with it. I'm excited to give it a try today, and I'll let you guys know how it works out. Alright, got some go-kart pieces right here for its dirt track cart. Came out really good, neon green, epoxy primer underneath. This is the frame. It's got to be baked still. It's about to go in for it at 320. Just so it kind of flash cures the primer on there and gets it ready for the neon green. This is what it looks like from being at 320 for 15 minutes. It's ready to be sprayed with the neon green. Okay guys, here it is. This go-kart frame, dirt track frame. came out good. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. My blasting could have been a little bit better, but I am waiting for a better tip for my gun. The size I have is a little bit too small, so my media was getting stuck in the tip a little bit every so often, so I switched to a finer media at the very end instead of the Black Beauty. But yeah, I'm just waiting for a new tip for my blaster, and I'll be able to strip a little bit better. That sand just doesn't strip as well. Everything was prepped good. There was just a little bit of residual old powder coat here or there that was stuck on very well. And like I said, the customer wanted this a few days ago, and just stuff's been getting pushed back because of trying to get that blaster going for the first time. But yeah, overall it turned out really good. He's gonna be really happy. Okay, just a quick rundown. I finished that green go-kart frame. I didn't get any like time lapse of recording it because that was the first run through with it, and you know, it wouldn't have been that exciting. But yeah, so I have an inner tube for a dirt bike I cut to fit because it's just a slip fit here, and then 2 hose clamps, and I have some relief holes drilled in here, and I have tape on them to cover them up. And I find that one hole being open gives me adequate flow without stressing the vacuum out because it still has a blow-off valve basically. And then my helmet, like I said, this is like a $150 helmet off Amazon, and I find that it works really well. The hose is just a sump pump hose, I believe it was, from Lowe's. It was the cheapest hose I could find that was long enough. The shop vac hoses were like almost 40 bucks a piece. And then I have a little adapter here that we bought, and I just have tape on here to kind of make a seal on it. But it works pretty good. It doesn't get any blow off through there. And like I said, I bought extra screens for the helmet. These are the outer ones, and these are the inner ones, which you have to unfortunately cut the inner ones to make them fit. So far, the helmet has been holding up pretty good. You can see there's some discoloration and nicks on the outer one, but I haven't I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to change the outer one and leave the inner one much more often, so I don't think I'll have to be changing the inner one very much. There were some reviews that said that it potentially could have to, would get up inside behind the first layer, but I find that I haven't gotten any that's gotten up behind this lip and fallen down and then causes scratching. So I think that it's gonna hold up really well. So yeah, it supplies good fresh air, and it's way cheaper than some of the other options on the market for right now. And it seems to work good. I just keep the vacuum away from where I'm actually blasting, and I've had no issues, no smells. It's always fresh air, and it's not like an air compressor setup where you have to have the special filters, and those alone are like over $300, almost $400 once you get all the regulators. So for me, this was the best option that I could go with right now. I'm sure in the future I'll upgrade, but if you're trying to start out, you know, this is just a cheap Harbor Freight 6-gallon vacuum. It's very simple. The upgraded filter was like 25 bucks, and it comes with 2 of those pre-dust filters that are in there, that I think they were like 16 bucks for 2 of them, or 10 bucks for 2 of them, something like that. So I would go this direction. This helmet seems to be really good quality, and also the hoses that these hoses seem to be holding up pretty good. I mean, I only have maybe 10 hours of using it so far, but no, they seem to be working really good, and I don't have any complaints. And I have made a couple upgrades to the booth itself. I quickly just painted it with some exterior house paint just to protect the wood. This is all part of the old oven rack for a larger powder coating oven, so it has chunks of stuff on it that come off. Either way, yeah, these are a set of aluminum rims I just blasted. As you can see, this thing does really good. I mean, the box is just meant to catch. I do have some spillage. I would like to increase this lip size a little bit. I also want to put a piece of wood across the top with a hook so I can hang and spin. And I think that would help a lot. Obviously, I take the roof off. For simplicity and just cheapness, I just put a screw in at an angle, and this is my stainless steel wire I use when I powder coat, and I just put another screw here and tied it down so that this just doesn't fly off, because I've had it come off a couple times, even with some weight on top of it. And then also I'm doing a couple 35-pound weights for a buddy. But yeah, overall this blasting booth has been working really good. And then obviously this is a regular blaster that I've been using, just a pressure pot. I was able to find on Amazon a multi-fit lid, and luckily it fits perfect. Just to keep this space clean and have a cover, I was using like an old pressure pot lid that didn't really fit on there. It was just to keep it covered so that pine needles and stuff wouldn't fall when I'm using it. But it's a pretty simple setup. The gun I'm using is one I found off Amazon, and this was a smaller tip. I did order a larger tip when I was using Black Beauty. I'll open this out of the bag. Yeah, so this is a much larger tip. It's a 1/8 diameter, and this is a 3/32 diameter. This will work really good with my Black Beauty media. That's what I was using on the go-kart frame. It strips really well, but it kept clogging the 3/32 tip pretty easily, so I went and got this one. I haven't used it yet, but I did trim off the edge so it fits inside perfectly. It's a really, really nice fit, so I'll try to show you with this one one-handed. So this one just unscrews. So that one just unscrews out of the gun itself. But for the smaller one, you have a washer here to fill up the extra space that's inside the tube. That's inside the pipe here. Because it's just so it doesn't leave an edge on behind. It just gives it a nice flat surface. If not, it would be able to catch around the edge and probably cause it to back up. And then I ordered, this is a 1/8. As you can see, it's a larger tip for sure. Only a little bit taller, but quite a bit larger ID. But you do not need the washer in this one. You couldn't even use it. But I just trimmed this off with a stone grinder on the side to get rid of the lip. And then it's a nice tight fit right here. And obviously this brass cap just screws right back on over it. So yeah, I think this is going to work really good. I'm excited to try it. It hasn't been putting too much strain on my air compressor. Although my air compressor does have a lot of hours on it. I bought it used. And it's a 1999. I think the motor was replaced in 2004. So it's been through quite a bit. It burns some oil for sure. So either way, I can't complain about this setup. It allows me to do stuff I wasn't able to do in the past. And now I can do my own bike frames, wheels super easily. Originally, I was using a sandblasting setup that hooked to a 3500 PSI pressure washer. And that worked okay, but it was inconsistent. I usually had to have someone help me because the hose would get clogged so much that they'd be out there to help make sure it doesn't get clogged. And then also it would wear out pretty quick. And whenever I was doing steel parts, obviously water and steel don't really mix too great. So after I'd have to blow it off. And it just added an extra pain that I didn't really need, if that makes sense. But overall, yeah, I'm really happy with this. If you guys like to see more of this blaster, more of my projects, please make sure that you guys subscribe. I will be coating these rims in one of these upcoming videos. They're for a truck, I'm not quite sure, but they're for a buddy of mine. And as well as these weights I might record as well. I'm not sure, but just stay tuned. I do a lot of coding and riding and everything in between. Plus, I have quite a few cute dogs. So just stay tuned, and I'll catch you in the next one.